Good Sunday morning. I'm Jaden Jefferson, and welcome to Community Focus. This week, I'm joined by Erika White, who is running for state representative. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, Jaden?
I'm doing good, and yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm enjoying the morning so far.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you on today. And my first question for you is, why are you running for state representative?
For a couple reasons I'm running, and that's a very good question to ask. The first thing that I'm really running on is the fact that I'm a mom. And being a mom, understanding the importance of having our kids safe at school and also fair school funding. Those are the most important to me. Also, I'm the wife of a firefighter, so understanding the resources needed to protect those who protect and serve us in our community. And the other issue that is very important to myself as a community leader is making sure that our economy is built on family sustaining wages. That is what's very important to me, to making sure that the community continues to grow and flourish by making sure that wages for families are intact.
What would you say gave you that final push to run?
For me, it was finally, and to be honest, most people, I hope this inspires people, is when there was an open seat finally. And I started thinking where I can make the most impact of the work that I'm already doing. And looking at state rep, I looked at the ability to listen to other people's voices and be able to take them to the state level and represent them in bills and legislation that can really make a difference here back home in Northwest Ohio. That was for me, the most important, is making sure that the voices here in this area in Northwest Ohio end up in Columbus, and that we have a presence and we're able to bring resources back to this part of the state.
What prior experience do you think has prepared you to potentially be state representative?
Besides being a mom, that's the hardest and the best job in the world, but definitely being a mom. But for myself, I also am a labor leader. So in the community, I go out and I'm the voice of others when it comes to negotiating being safe on the job and making sure that people, they have a say in their wages, and working with employers. Also being able to negotiate contracts, and that you're sitting at the table with management or with a company, and you're working together to come to a common sense, reasonable solution that benefits both sides. That's part of it. The other is that being very involved in the community. I am a health and wellness advocate also, so understanding what resources are needed in the community, what that looks like. And again, what's prepared me to do that is the number one thing that we have to do as elected officials, which is listen to people. We have to listen. If I'm gonna be your voice, if I'm going to say, here's what it is that Jaden wants, here's what Northwest Ohio wants, it's not my opinion, it's the opinion and what the voters have put me there to do, and being their voice. And that's something I've been able to do very effective, which is listen.
What will be some of your top priorities if elected?
One of my top priorities is to make sure that talking to children again, and when we say being safe at school, so this is, I just want to share this. So Students Demand Action is one group I sat down and talked with. So for me, when I thought about being safe at school as a mom, my thing is, hey, we want to make sure there's not guns or weapons coming in. I'm thinking violence. When talking to kids who, are at the schools that I'm talking about that I want to help with, their thing was bullying. It wasn't just, and I'm sure you can add on this too, also, Jaden, listening to you. Kids are saying, that's it. I agree. I don't want weapons at school. I don't want fighting. But what about bullying? What about how I learn? How about helping me with resources? So one of the top things, the way I think we really begin to change things socially and economically and keeping Northwest Ohio strong, is starting with our education, making sure that our young people have access to education. And what does that look like from kindergarten all the way through college? That is one of my main things I want to work on. I'm sorry. The other end, I don't know if you know about this, for many of our safety forces, a lot of the gear they have to wear, especially with firefighters, has been found to have cancer-causing agents in it. So really looking at how do we start to make sure, and this crazy I would say start, but really making sure that our public safety officers and firefighters and all those people in the community to take care of us, make sure they have the resources, whether it's mental health resources or making sure they have access to workers' comp or programs in place to help them. So we're keeping people safe and keeping the people keeping us safe. So those are big things that are very important to me. I know there are more issues there. And the other one is really making sure we have family sustaining jobs. As many people are aware of, We have the Build Back Better plan that's going on, that's going to allow a lot of money to come into the state. Making sure that those dollars come back to Northwest Ohio and that we are taking care of people in our community. That is, I just believe that we build a strong economy by helping workers, families, and students become the best they can be.
This community has seen gun violence become even more frequent. So what is your plan to combat it?
And it's very interesting because I was just at a meeting today about this. One of the most important things, in my opinion, is that we've got to look at the areas where the violence is happening. We don't live in gated communities. So while we have some people in Northwest Ohio who are saying that's just a Toledo problem, Toledo is the heart of this community, and people drive into Toledo to work. They drive into Toledo to play, whether you go into the parks, and we also are downtown. So we have to look at this as being an issue for the entire area. One of the main things we have to look at is where the violence is happening. And so there are different programs that are out there right now that have already, or studies that have happened to say, you can tell where more violence is going to happen in a community by the resources available in that community. And so one of the ways that we begin to help with that is, one, we've got to listen to the people in the community. We've got to make sure that we understand what the resources are that they need, find out how to build those resources. There's used to be after school programs for kids. I know when I went to school, we had youth to youth, we had things like that, really making sure that we have good, strong programs after school for kids so they have other choices. When we look at those who are committing most of the violence, it's astounding to me that is children. It's from 14 all the way to early 20s. And when we want to look at where are we losing kids at, where can we talk with them, where can we help families, because it is a community issue that requires all of us. That is something at the state level that, even though I will be doing things at the state level as far as writing legislation and bills, but coming back here to find out exactly what that looks like on a community level, we've got to start to really get down to the grassroots of the problem. I don't think there's some big overarching theme or anything that we can do is just with words. We have to really go back down into the community and say, where do you see those gaps at? Where do we feel them at? In 40, let's say the zip code 43615. Maybe that gap is that we need to make sure that there's after school programs and we need a Boys and Girls Club there. Maybe if we go on to 43609, it's, hey, you know, we don't have enough open spaces for children to play and play safe. So we've got to reach out to people, those community leaders in those areas, and find out how we address it for each area. And then we begin to change that. But it's going to take a lot of conversation, real conversation, and impactful change. And it's not going to happen overnight. I think we need to be realistic with that also.
What do you want voters to know about you ahead of the election?
What do I want them home? Okay, so this is the fun part, right?
Yeah.
I will definitely want people to know that I am a community activist. And before I even thought about ever running for as an elected official or being anyone's voice, I made sure I did the work in the community. Everything from, I was asked the expert, so it sounds funny when I'm saying listen to people when I was expert, but learning how to listen to people, that's very important to me. Being very involved already with community actions. I work with now I can't get it out right, Community Health Improvement Plan, where we work on bringing funding back by listening to people on what's important for health and wellness initiatives here in Lucas County. Also with Susan G. Komen and the African American Wellness Walk. So being very well-rounded and understanding that when it comes to people, I understand people, I love working with people, and the most important part is being the voice by listening to others. That is what's important to me, and my whole life, my career has been based upon helping and fighting hard for others. And I'm a worker. I don't know if I can say that. At the end of the day, I really am a worker. That's what I would want people to know. And I think, you know, Jaden, you can tell a lot about a person by the type of shoes they wear. If they're an athlete, you say, oh, okay, those are tennis shoes. Or if they're a dancer, you can definitely tell those who are dancers, whether their shoes are hung over their shoulder or whether they have them on. For myself as a worker, I believe in wearing my boots. My boots are my work ethic. I prove that I work hard every day. I don't just sit in the office. I actually go out and I make sure I connect with people. And we're talking about tabletop issues, and I believe in workers. And I believe in a country where you can be pro anything. Why wouldn't you be pro worker?
Absolutely. Erika White, the Democratic candidate running for state representative, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jaden. I appreciate you having me, and you keep doing the great work. This is awesome.